Let me get myself comfortable. What's up, guys? My name is Brandon Dennis, and I am a grateful, recovering addict. And I say addict because I was addicted to alcohol, and alcohol is a drug, and we say alcohol is a drug, period, in the meetings that I attend on the regular. But basically, I just wanted to do this podcast or YouTube video or however, whatever aspect that you look at it as. It was something on my mind. I was in the shower today, and I just felt like it's something I need to do. I was doing the podcast before, and I was getting a lot of, you know, and this is all raw, by the way. I'm not doing any editing. I'm not doing anything. Went out and bought some designer clothes and designer shoes and all that stuff, and I said, nah, I'm gonna do this raw. Right now, I'm in my socks, just some basic shorts, and I just want to give it to you because it's not all about that. It's not all about material things. I learned that was another addiction that I went through, and I'm still fighting currently. But basically, what I want to do in a nutshell is just run down. I'm going to do different podcasts or interviews or however. There's a couple people that reached out to me that want me to speak on their channel, etc. But I'm just going to give you a brief story based on my life and how the disease of addiction has affected me and what recovery feels like. So there may be interruptions. My son is here. He may come up, bring me a drink, this and that. But that's all a part of the thing that I'm doing. I'm not paying anyone to do this. I'm doing it with my cell phone and a selfie holder camera. So we'll start from the beginning. Sure, most definitely. My son just asked if I wanted a drink, and I do. And as you can see, I'm healthy. I got my teeth. A lot of people think my teeth are fake, but they're not. My teeth are real. But besides the point, I want to start from the beginning. And this is just going to be brief. I'm going to do more episodes on what it's like to be in treatment centers, what it's like to go through withdrawals, what it's like to basically, I'll just go in depth in each thing. Or you guys can ask me what to talk about. If someone's struggling, I can give advice. And I'm not perfect by any means. I just know what it takes to do the right thing to maintain sobriety. So I'll start from the beginning. I was born in Virginia Beach, Virginia, December 1st, 1985. I was born in Virginia Beach General. My parents, it was a Sunday, I believe. That's why I was a 49ers fan. I heard that my doctor and my whole family were watching the 49ers play Dallas when I was born. But I grew up as the only child. Parents only decided to have one kid after they had me, which was cool in some aspects. In some aspects, it was boring, but luckily I had a lot of friendships, and I'll get into that in a second. So I'll skip through like the baby stages and stuff like that. That's not important. I didn't have any tragedies, etc. that went on during my childhood. I lived a great childhood. I grew up in Virginia Beach, Virginia, where I was originally born. I grew up in the Rosemont area, really the Salem area off Indian River and Lynn Haven Parkway. I lived on South Haven Drive. I'll shout out South Haven Drive, Northvale, Casbah Court, all those things. I grew up on South Haven, and I was just blessed to have the honor of every parent, or should I say every home in that street had a boy that was my age, and it was just awesome. So shout out to people like Tremaine Hinton, David Clark, Marcus Johnson, Maurice Bostic, Jason Dickens, Bobby Schmidt, David Childs, and just the Sean Hinton, of course, Corey Gregory, Rashad Oliver. Oh, it was just loaded, man. And apologies for anybody that I missed. You know what time it is. That was just some off the top of my head. But every day was just growing up as a young teenager, and I lived there from 86 to 2002. I went to Salem. I started off Glenwood. I was the first class at Glenwood. I went to Salem Middle School, went to Salem High School. So I'm just trying to do this briefly to get into what I want to get into. But alcohol was never a thing in my immediate family as far as my household. My parents didn't drink. Addiction did run in my family. My granddad on my mom's side was an alcoholic. I have family on my dad's side that is alcoholics as well. I have uncles that suffer from addiction. I have. I don't want to get into anybody's personal business, etc. like that. I don't want to share that, but addiction did run in my family, and I did see a lot of drinking going on outside of my home, but I never partaked in any of that stuff. For me, coming home from school was throw my book bag down, go outside, and I'd stay outside till the lights, the street lights came on. That was the rule. And I would come in and check in, and most of the time I could go right back out. Uh, it was good times, and shout out to all those people, the guys that I just named. Timmy Cross, I forgot about that. Tom Cross, Christopher. There was just so many people, and so many people that came to the neighborhood that I stayed in that played. I used to have a basketball hoop, so we used to, play on it. John Gilchrist used to be on there. He was a star for a team. Paul Johnson used to come around the way and play. It was just good times, man. It's times that I look back, and now that I took for granted back then. My dad used to tell me as a young teenager, enjoy it because it goes by fast. And I would shrug that off and continue playing. But now I really look back on those days and I missed it. So high school, never smoked weed, never drank, never did any of that stuff. I was a fairly good student. My parents ended up moving to Chesapeake in 2002, and I was in Votech. That looks crazy. I was in Votech through the Virginia Beach public school system for advertising design, and I was excellent in there, man. I was really doing well. I was still attending Salem at this time. I don't want my voice to go hoarse. I look like Brandon Novak over here. Shout out to Brandon Novak. Get on that on a minute as well. So my parents moved in Chesapeake 2002. I graduated in 2003, supposed to graduate. So my mom was getting up super early because Virginia Beach schools started before Chesapeake schools. So she would get up an hour early, take me to school, and all I'd do as soon as I got to school, I'd ride off with this girl or this group of friends. I wouldn't go to school. Sometimes I would just hide in the bathroom. I hated school. I would go to Votech and come back and not do anything. So that caught on. My parents caught on. Excuse me, my dog just hit my camera. That's why I said it's going to be raw. My dog, Blue, he's 17 years old. Chihuahua. Shout out to Blue. And I might have to pause it for a second. My dog is having a seizure. Blue.
Get on and Daddy's peeing.
It's okay. You alright, Blue? He's alright. Did he pee?
Yep.
Told you it was going to be raw, y'all, but that's life. He's old. He's going through seizures, so I apologize about that. He had a brief one.
That's actually really weird because you said that and he started having it.
Yeah, that's super crazy. Fast forward, I forgot. My mind's off track, and I really apologize for doing this. I should have paid someone to have it done, but I want it raw, just like how it was. Everything this disease was so raw for me. So fast forward, my parents caught on to me skipping school. They took me out. They put me in Deep Creek. I went to Deep Creek High School. The principal said, I can get you in a week or two. I said, hell yeah, most definitely. That's a week or two off of school. Went in, never went to school. Linked up with females, met some cool dudes out of Deep Creek. Shout out to them. Still keep in contact with some of those guys. So shout out to y'all. I ended up moving back in that area later down the road. So I got my GED in 2002 from the city of Chesapeake. I had to, because I was under 18, I had to have a job, and I had to go to school from 8 to 12 to study for the GED test, which I ended up passing. Got my GED. I was disappointed in myself, especially looking back, because I used to use one of these fairly well with graphic design and stuff like that. But So still to this point, never drank, never smoked. I some of my friends smoked and stuff like that, but to me it stunk and it made them act crazy. Something that I didn't want no parts of. I just wanted to play sports and have fun and normal teenage life, chase the girls and do all this stuff, which I was very, very shy of it back then. If people know me in high school, I was a very shy kid. I was a goofy kid. I like to make people laugh. So I'll fast forward through to my first drink of alcohol. I remember it was a snow day. Um, it was in 2005, I believe. So I met my soon-to-be ex-wife, which I have no hard feelings for. We were together from 2005 to 2021, something like that. 2020, 21, something like that. But we'll get to that also. So I met her in what used to be Hex. It's now Macy's. But it was a snow day, Chesapeake. My parents took me to my uncle's house, and all my friends came together and we played football. And after the football game, we went inside. We were playing Madden, and somebody broke out like some Smirnoffs, and everyone was pushing on it. They were drinking it, pushing. So I said, finally, shoot, I'll take a sip of it. So I took my sip, and I thought it was disgusting. So I faked it. I poured out half of it and faked acting like everybody else was, like I had a buzz, but I didn't. And I never did that. I was 20 years old, and at that time I didn't have the urge to drink. I seen people start to go out, and then it became more accessible to me, where I noticed a lot of people I was hanging out with were doing it pretty consistently, and it looked fun. So I got a fake ID. I was 20 years old. I used to go down to Granby Street all the time in Norfolk, Virginia, and I would use the fake ID. Shout out to who that gave me the fake ID. I think at that time I was 20, like I said, and the ID was maybe 30, so I was pushing a 30-year-old. But a lot of people down there knew me because of him, so they would slide me in, and I started doing the weekend warrior type thing, where I would work all week, and then we would go out to Granby Street Friday, and most of the time Saturday. You would recover Saturday morning, and go back out Saturday night. And I did that repetitively for a long time. Still not drinking during the week. No drinking during the week. I just look forward to the weekends. And if we didn't go out, I ended up, so the same house that I played football at, Sagamore Court, back in my old neck of the woods, is where I ended up moving to. We got my first house in Sagamore Court, right off Gravenhurst, for you guys that I'm sure that are going to watch us that went to my school. And so yeah, I moved in there like 2006, 2007. So if we didn't go out, everyone's calling my phone. Hey, what we doing? And at this time, I started to, there were a lot of parties at my house, and I got involved with marijuana, as far as I was selling marijuana, and I was, I'll be raw and open. Oh, it's all about open-mindedness, willingness, and everything that I've learned in these books. And I want to be honest. I was selling. We were getting it. Me and a buddy of mine were getting it by the pounds, and we were selling it out of my house. I was growing it, and I was the one that was. I took a lot of people's business because I was selling it for cheaper and more quantity. We were getting it for a low price. So that turned into addiction. That's where the money started coming into the place. And see, I get nervous about this part because so much happened during that time period, as far as, and I caused all of it. I caused someone to break into my home. Someone knocked on the door one time with a shotgun. That person is now incarcerated for 365 years, and I don't mind saying his name because he ran through my house. He took a lot of video games from my stepson at the time, during that time. And I remember I was in the shower, and she wasn't my wife at the time. She came in there and said, "Where does all the video games and all the DVDs?" And I said, "What?" So Richie Richardson, man, you were the one that did all that home invasion stuff and did all that stuff for those women. You deserve to rot in hell, my man. 365 years you got, and I hope you enjoy every single ounce of torture that you get in there. You showed up at my doorstep with shotguns. You did all this, and I'm not gonna go on a rant as far as that. Also, the drug game stuff, and I was by no means a big guy out there. A lot of people didn't even know that I did it, including my parents, until I finally sat them down and told them. But specifically, just I remember one night, we had a party at my house. My girlfriend at the time, or soon to be ex-wife, it was her sister, my friend, and another friend went to go get more beer. And I had a 03 Maxima at that time, and I had the big rims on it, tinted windows, TVs, system. Spending all my money on that. You want a drink? For sure. And if y'all don't mind me, I do vape during this, so this is kind of, I know it's bad for me. I'm trying to get off of it. I was never smoked cigarettes, but anyway, I was having a party and we got a phone call from her screaming. Long story short, someone tried to, at the gas station, rip the keys out of the car, and they were trying to steal the car. So they ended up getting the car back. We jump in another car that we had, and we go down to the end of Gravenhurst, and they come around. I always say she was coming around in the Maxima on two wheels, and there was a black Acura behind it. And I just remember like it was yesterday, seeing the guy lean out of the back window and just firing shots, boom, 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 at my car, hit my car. So everyone got out safe. I won't go into details as far as if anyone got shot or this and that. And you know who you are that did it. I know who you are as well. But I don't hold no grudges, no resentments. That was in the past. I was doing things wrong. I shouldn't have had that type of stuff, man. I was showboating, always flashing money. I'd always be the guy that went out and would buy everyone shots. And in the all I was doing that for was to show off, which was terrible. So was still doing the weekend warrior thing. I held a job down. At this point in time, I think I was working at a nursing home doing maintenance. And then I got another job, a better paying job. I worked oddless jobs, and most of the time I would stay long. Some were short term. I worked at Steel, many places, still as a young adult. So I will fast forward mad time. I was a weekend warrior for a long time. I would say from 2006 until 2000. No. Yeah, probably 17 or 18. I ended up having my son in 2011, and that was a hard time for me too because I was really drinking. At that point in time, I would do the Wednesday night. I had my friends over to play spades or cards or play Madden or just sit there and drink. And my wife at the time was pregnant. And at this point in time, I had a house that had a separate garage storage area. It looked like a mini house. It had heat, electricity, carpet, lighting. It was AC. It was super dope. And I would sit out there, and while she would be in there, she had gestational diabetes, and I'd be out there getting tore up with my friends. And that was on Wednesdays. Then it would happen same time during the weekends. We ended up having my son July 8, 2011. That was the best day of my life.
Tattoo?
Yeah, I got it tattooed on me. If you can read it, it's blurry. I'm getting old now with my tattoos, but this is where the story gets hard for me to tell. But it's something that I haven't shared in front of public ever, except for in my meetings, which is of course is confidential and anonymous. I landed a job at Chesbay Distributing, which is a beer salesman. I wasn't a beer salesman yet. I was a draft cleaner. A lot of people don't know that most bars and taverns and stuff have to have their lines clean if they serve, off the tap. So I was doing that, and I was doing well on my route, and then the Virginia Beach route, oceanfront route opened up. I interviewed for it, and I aced it, and they wanted me as a part of the team. And I did that for, I don't know, 6 or 7 years, I believe, 6 or 7 summers, because that's mostly when I made my money. I was 100% commission, so I made all my money in the summertime. And I was broke in the wintertime because everyone said, save your money. That's hard to do, to save your money in the summertime, especially with all the fun that was going on. And I was the beer guy in that neighborhood. At that point in time, I lived in South Norfolk. Uh, Shout out to Port Lock, and shout out to all those areas off there, Bainbridge. I lived off First Street, off of Port Lock. And I was going out a lot. We were going out a lot to the bars. And I was the beer guy. You know, I always brought home the cool beers. The neighbors, we would always come over and we'd have like 20 beers, singles, of course, and we would all take sips of them and rank them, and we would rank them how we thought was the best, especially with the holiday beers and stuff like that. And I would have a beer or two probably every night. I love to cook on the grill, so that was something that I did. And I'd have a beer or something with it, one or two, just to calm the nerves from the day, take away the stress. But yeah, it was that to me was still normal. We lived in South Norfolk for, I don't know, maybe 4 years, and we had some good times out there. Pardon the interruption. My son knows more than I do, I guess. But
Starting to interrupt again, but tell them how you had like your taps in the sheds and stuff.
Oh yeah.
Eggs.
So see, my son's a good helper. I would bring home like kegs and stuff from events, which I was supposed to take back to the shop, but I would take them to my house and polish them off with the neighbors. And at this point, I was still dibbling and dabbling, selling marijuana, and I never was a smoker. I remember one birthday party that I had for my son, and I'm being upfront and being honest. I had probably 6 or 7 marijuana female plants. I see breaking news from the 49ers that just came across my screen. So he is done. We have a tight end that's done. But I remember a birthday party that I threw. I had a pool in the backyard at the time, and it reeked. It reeked. They were flowering, and I had the hose exhaust system and everything, and I was just so scared and paranoid. And what got me stopped with that was one day I walked outside to go to work, and it was dark, and there was a police car out front of my house, and I looked at my shed, and you could see the lights coming from the bottom. So he wasn't there for me. So when I got home, debudded it, did everything, got rid of it however I did, and I never messed with it again. But we ended up qualifying for a home, and the price range that we were going for was really low. I think I qualified in the beginning for like 120 or something. And it was a FHA loan, so that means it can't be a dump. It has to be something that's turnkey. That's you don't need money to have to be fixed or something like that. Basically, it has to be somewhat brand new. I couldn't find anything, so still doing well at work. I was the super salesman of the month a lot of times. I was the salesman of the month a lot of times. I ran a great route. I developed a lot of friendships on that route. Lots of friendships that they still look out for me now as far as ask how I'm doing. And shout out to you guys. The list of that could go on for a long time. But we ended up qualifying, like I said, for 120, which is shits and giggles in the housing market at that time. So we ended up looking at down in North Carolina, and we were going house to house, and I wasn't liking anything. And then we went to a house that was 175, and I knew we couldn't afford it. I loved it. Wife at the time was, man, I love it. This is this. So I decided to say, hey, I went back to Quicken Loans, Rocket Mortgage, and I said, hey, this is what I want. Can we try to up it? So they gave me 160. So I shot the offer in for 160. He countered with 170. I can't remember. We ended up getting the house, locked it in for 169. I got everything. We moved in 2018. Same day as the prison riots happened in downtown Pasquotank County, where they did the stabbing and the killing of the deputies. Rest in peace to them. All that was going on my phone when we were moving down here. So fast forward, we were living the good life. Everyone was coming down. That eventually kind of wore off. People got tired of driving down there, which I understand, because when you drive down there, we were partying so hard at this time, you had to stay the night. We would be blackout drunk, drinking pretty much. Well, I can't even say pretty much. Every weekend was guaranteed. Nights of the week were guaranteed. But not shit-faced drunk on the weeknights. I was still trying to maintain my job. So COVID hit. And I'm talking about as a beer rep, guys and gals that are watching. Not only did I sell beer, I was sampling new beers at 8:30 o'clock in meetings sometimes, and then expecting to go do my job. I'll work with other beer reps from Samuel Adams, White Claw reps, and we'd go out and be sampling with customers and stuff, etc. And we're drinking with them. And I never looked back until, a few months ago and realized that's where it really started to stem from. I thought it was okay. So I'd go to my accounts and hold samplings and get tore up and drive home. I had a credit card that I could use from my company to pay for all that. It was like $1,000 a month that we could use. And I'm not flabbergasted on anything. That's everyone that knows the beer industry, that's factual. So COVID came, 2020, and I ended up getting. No, I'm sorry. I take that back. COVID was not here yet. See, this is raw, and this is why I wish I had an editor. So I was drinking hard. I was drinking to the point where I was waking up hungover every day. And one day, I was missing a little bit of work. Sometimes I'd have to have a beer on my way to work, especially like a White Claw or Truly, because you couldn't smell it, just to get me going. And that's when, if y'all notice, remember when I was in the beer industry, I used to have my hair cut all the time and I couldn't wear hats. I'm the one that started the hat thing back up at Chesbay because I didn't feel good and I would just throw on a hat and I didn't care what they said. I'm selling my beer. I'm making my numbers. I didn't care. So I would drink sometimes in the morning. But there was a Sunday that I was so tore up. I went to bed early. And a family member of mine came over like 2 hours later, and I heard them outside, and they were having fun. So I went out, and we did some shots and stuff like that, and I got blackout drunk and went to sleep. And this is when I first started to feel what I didn't know at the time were alcohol withdrawals. So I remember waking up with the sweats, and I went and laid in the guest bedroom, and I could not sleep, tossing and turning, constantly looking at the clock. Oh, okay, I know I gotta be up at this time. I know I gotta be up at this time. So I called, or I emailed my president of the company, Patrick Collins. Shout out to you. You're a big help if you're watching this. And this is hard getting out, guys. So I'm doing my best. This is the first time I went in depth, and everyone's gonna see this because I am gonna post it. I emailed him. I said, "Can you call me, please, at your earliest convenience?" This is like 5:30 in the morning. Never forget. It was pouring, raining outside, and I told my wife, I said, "I can't do it no more. I can't do this." And she asked what was wrong, and I said, "I don't know. I don't know what's going on with me. I'm sweating. I'm shaking." I mean, I was shaking so bad I couldn't even type on the phone. We'll get to more about that as well. So I called my parents and let them know that something wasn't right. Something was going on. And they lived in Chesapeake at the time still. So on my way there to my parents' house, they're freaking out. They don't know what's going on with me. My president calls me. And I told him, he called me and I said, "Mr. Collins, I think I have a problem." And he said, "Brandon, what's going on? What's that?" And I said, "I think I have a problem with alcohol." I told him my symptoms. And I was up front with him, and I was worried about that he was just going to say, "You know what, you're done." But he didn't. He said, "What I want you to do, Brandon, is I want you to get to your parents' house safely in this rain and call me when you get there and comfortable." I got to my parents' house. I was shaking so bad that I instantly had to go in to take a hot shower. And my mom at the time was on anxiety medicine, so I popped in anxiety medicine. and it kind of calmed me down enough. That was minor withdrawals, minor, very minor. Uh, so I laid in the bed and I ended up calling my president of the company back. He said, Brandon, my first question to him, I said, Patrick, am I gonna be let go because of this? And he said, Brandon, we're in the alcohol business. You think this is the first person that's had a problem with this? We have programs for something like this. So I called a lady, the number they gave me, and they walked me through it, and they told me some stuff and what to do. And I was abstinent. I quit cold turkey. I was fine. I was on day number 30. I was taking pictures, if y'all remember, on Facebook. I was getting healthy. My skin was clearing up because my skin used to be so red. My nose would be red. Eyes bloodshot. My eyes even started to turn yellow at one point. As you can see, they're back white and blue. And they called us in. COVID hit. And they called us in. And I knew something was going on because usually they'd say, Brandon, hey, look, this is what's going on. And I was laid off. And I was on day number 40. It was a Friday. I believe it was May 20th, my ex-wife's birthday. So as soon as they did that and I turned in my phone, I had an iPhone and I used it as personal, and it was their phone. So I texted my wife and said, hey, I just got laid off. Turning in my phone, I'm headed home. And I already knew what time it was. Forget the 40 days. I went home and I waited for my wife at the time to get home. And I said, you think I can handle it? She said, that's up to you. So I went ahead and drank, and I remember never forget my first drink again after having 40 days is a long time. It was a Leinenkugel Summer Shandy. And after that, it was hell. On back to the races. So I was homeschooling my son, Cameron, at the time. My oldest was doing his own thing online. And at this point in time down in Carolina, I had to go every morning to get his schoolwork, pick it up. They would leave it outside in the basket. I would pick it up, take it home, do it. And I had a schedule, so I would do it. So my drinking would start at like 5, 6 o'clock in the afternoon. When everything was finished, and then we started getting done sooner, earlier and earlier once I got the hang of it. So did my drinking. 4, 3, 2, 1, noon. I didn't have a job. I wasn't working. I was still getting paid for unemployment. At that time, unemployment was booming. We were killing it. Plus, I got severance pay. I got $1,000 for every year that I worked there, so I got $7,000 cash money. Well, check, but I cash money that out, of course. And long story short, that led to me waking up drinking every morning. And it got to the point where my body couldn't function with alcohol, but I was still, at this point, I was still functioning. I could still do the things that I was supposed to do. I still cut my grass. I still rode my lawnmower. Of course, I had a beer in there. I still took care of my son's schoolwork. It was slipping, but I was trying to take care of it. But I had to wake up every morning, and I went to the same gas station where they already knew, because I didn't want to go into a 7-Eleven. And at this point in time, I was drinking. If anyone knows what bootleggers are, they're those small glass bottles of malt liquor, and they're like 12%, 8 ounce. I'd start my morning every morning at this point in time with 2 of them in the morning, just to get me going. It gave me some pep. It gave me some energy to do what I had to do until one day it didn't. So I'm trying to fast forward as much as I can because I want to share in depth on some other times that I speak on here. But people were noticing. My parents knew that I had a problem. At this point in time, I started to lose a little bit of weight. I was at like around the 180s at this time. And I was maybe down to like maybe 175 maybe. And people started noticing I was losing weight. And I blamed it on because I quit drinking. Everyone thought I was still not drinking. Some people did. Some people, like my parents, they knew my personality. They would call me, I wouldn't answer. They knew I was drinking. So it got to the point so bad where the kids ended up going back to school. and I'm skipping over a lot here, y'all. I'm just trying to what's coming to my mind at the time I'm speaking off the top. I was putting my son on the bus drunk. I would buy bottles of liquor at night, and I would take shots in the morning before my son woke up. I'd put him on the bus drunk if I could get out of bed. Well, at this point, I still could.
Dad.
And yes, sir.
Actually, you were still working when I went back to school.
Yeah, I was actually, yes. So he is right. They did call us back in before I got my severance pay, and we worked for like a week, and then they laid us off again. So he is right. I did go back to work, and I was struggling. I remember being in accounts, and at this point in time, we had the GPS tracker, right, on our phones. I'd be so say this is my cell phone. I'd be so sick in the morning, hungover, that if I pulled up at your place, it would register that I was there. I would lay in the back seat and sometimes leave my phone on like the porch or something at the restaurant saying I was there. I was sick. And I didn't know at this point in time the hair of the dog, drink again. I didn't know. So yeah, they laid us off. I'm back at home taking shots every morning. And it got to the point now where I'm home by myself. So I'm drinking all day. I don't really have any money. I blew through the $7,000 on alcohol. So this is where I started becoming the con artist here. My wife knew at the time that I had a problem, so I wouldn't use my ATM or debit card because she would see that what it was for. I already did the whole thing where I'd say I'd go to the store and get groceries and then cash back 20 so I can go back in and get the beer with the cash. Tried all that, didn't work. You would see it on the receipt. I would either, now this is hard for me to say, I was a couch surfer, meaning I had a lot of people over at my house at all the time. I would dig through my couch cushions looking for change. I'd go in my car, look for change, hoping I could find that $2 or $3 just to get me by. That's if my wife didn't leave liquor from when I did have liquor at the house, or somebody brought over a bottle and left it. And I was so bad that I was ripping shots off of it and pouring. So if I took a shot of it, I'd take that same shot, put water in it, and put it back in the Crown or whatever. I did that so much where I would have this much of water and Crown mixed, just wanting that fix. Drink it and fill it back up with water. Crown, dark. And one day I had a family member over, and her and my cousin. So I just put my cousin into this, but nobody knows his or her name. And they poured shots, weren't paying attention, poured them. Came to me and said, "Brandon, why is it straight water in there?" I don't know. I didn't touch it. I drank the whole thing, the whole bottle, and I did this on multiple occasions. I wished it was vodka, and most of the time it was. If it wasn't Crown, it was vodka, flavored vodka, whipped vodka, because then it was clear. I don't know what happened to it. But I'm getting a little off track. That threw me off a little bit. But it got to the point where this was my routine. Get up, drink, put my son on the bus, go to the store. If I could find change, or if I could not find change, I would steal it. I'd walk right into Food Line, put an orange in my cart like I'm looking for vegetables, put the beer underneath, and look at the registers when no one was paying attention. Walk right out. Throw the orange or whatever, the produce. I didn't eat. I wasn't hungry. And at this point in time, maybe my wife knew that I had a problem, but she didn't know how deep it was because I was hiding it big time. So I drink all day, and if I would go steal another 6-pack, crack one. So if she smelt it on my breath, I just opened one. But I would tell her to stop and get a 6-pack as well. So I would crush her 6-pack. She'd have maybe one or two. She was responsible. And I would hope that she would open one and not finish it. And most of the time she didn't, especially wine. And She used to get up early. So this is hard for me, y'all, because everybody knows what I've been through. Um, she used to get up at 4:30. She had to be to work at 6 o'clock in Chesapeake. So she would get up at 4:30. Her alarm would go off, and of course I would hear it, and I'd get up, and I would be hoping there would be something left in the refrigerator. I'd sneak it. I knew her time like that in the shower. She'd be in the shower for like 10, 15 minutes. Had to blow dry her hair, do all this. And I would do this on multiple occasions. I'd polish them off, go lay back down. Um, Wanted to kiss goodbye, and I'd kind of just hold my breath, and hopefully she wouldn't smell it. I was so bad, y'all, that one time she opened the door. This was 4:30 in the morning. I thought she got in the shower. She must have heard me get up. She opens the garage door, and I am chugging champagne at 4:30 in the morning. That wasn't even my lowest. That was probably my highest still. Um, just her face. I remember her face, and I'm past all the relationship issues and stuff like that. But I still that face when you hurt someone that sticks with you for a long time. I can still remember her face just in shock and awe, like, what the hell am I? What the hell are you doing? And that was left over from like maybe like a New Year's party, and I didn't want to drink champagne. There was always some beer or liquor left. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to say, and at this point, my marriage began to start getting rocky. I won't go into detail as far as what happened or why we split up. I'll just say that it was my fault. It came to the point where on the weekends, they wanted to go to the beach. I couldn't even get out of bed. As soon as they would leave, I'd go to the store. If I had money, like I said, I'd buy it. If I didn't, I would steal it. I'd just get drunk and lay in the bed. And I remember another low point. I wasn't eating. I wouldn't eat. So my wife decided to leave to separate from me and move out for 30 days. That 30 days, man, I binge drank the whole time. The whole entire time. I'd be lucky. I remember laying in bed one night and I cooked a bag of peas. And I was trying to eat the peas because I was so worried about, I kept going like this with my wrist. And as you can see where it is right now, I could fold my thumb around my wrist. I had OCD about that terribly. So I could take my thumbs like that. Right at this point, I remember I used to be able to do it and interlock it like that. But I couldn't eat. My liver would hurt. Still drink. I wanted to numb all the pain. She wouldn't really talk to me at this point. She had my son. So one day, I called my parents and I told them I had had enough. So they took me to the Virginia Beach Psych Center, which is also a detox center. I went there, seen all the people so sick. My parents agreed, this isn't Brandon. He doesn't need this. He can stop on his own. So didn't make it through intake, came back home, did the same thing again. I remember, y'all, I was so bad off. And this is still in my good drinking times compared to what I've been through. I had a little kiddies pool for my son. I was laid out in it, full spread, drunk. And I guess my mom let my uncle know that she thought I was drinking again. All of a sudden I hear footsteps coming around in my backyard, and I had an acre. So I thought, I would be by myself. And he comes over there and asks what I'm doing. I guess I mumbled nothing. So the next day I was back at that detox center, and he said, I'm dropping you off. So I went. Didn't experience any type of withdrawal symptoms because they put me on medication like that. I got out, and I would do, like your 30 days, and they tell you to go to 90 meetings in 90 days. Never did any of that. I just felt like I was okay. Started drinking again. And one night I went over to where my wife was staying, and I convinced her to come back home. We had dinner that night. And she decided to come back home. And it was rocky. It was rough. I was doing everything for the wrong reasons. I got baptized. As soon as I got baptized, I went and drank. Pitiful stuff that I can kind of smile at now. But back then, man, so I was dealing with anxiety. I was dealing with depression. I knew my marriage was over. I knew it. But I was just holding on to the past. And I can't say that's what caused me to drink. I was addicted at this point. So I went back into that psych center for a third time. And I call it the psych center because it is a detox center. But at this point, I was insane because I was doing the same shit over and over, knowing the consequence would be the same. So I went in there, got home, relapsed again. I'm a chronic relapser. At least I can say I was. Same situation. This time, I wasn't eating at all. I knew I lost mad weight. I would lay in the bed. My wife left again. And I stumbled across a YouTube video by Brandon Novak, the guy from Jackass. Viva La Bam. Professional skateboarder. He's got a #1 bookseller. Damn, I just got to offer something for almost $700. But I watch a YouTube video. The number I'll get to in a second. I sent it to my parents. They called me. At this point in time, they moved to North Carolina because they were worried about me. They moved like a mile away from me. And they watched the video and they called me over to the house. So I'm thinking, okay, it's about to be an intervention in this biatch. Refill cam when you get a chance, please.
Okay.
So they called me over there and they hand me the telephone. I'm like, what? And the person on the other line said, hey, my name is Brandon Novak and I'm here to help you. Help me with what? Get yourself clean. I said, okay. So this man, the celebrity status he is, I remember being in mom's guest room, laying on the bed, sick as a research monkey, crying. He was on the phone. That man was on the phone with me for an hour. The next day I was on a plane going to Stuart, Florida, Banyan Treatment Center. This is what I really call my first treatment center, y'all. So it was really my first rehab. That man checked on me at least once every 3 days. I'd speak to him on the phone. Flew me out there. Very beautiful place. It was right on the water. My marriage was done. This is to the point where I always say that I didn't lose everything, man. I didn't lose nothing at all. I gave that shit away. I had to put my house up for sale. The house that I worked so hard for. You know, selling beer all the time. Working my ass off, working late. My first dream, it was my dream home. That somehow God put in my hands that gave me the ability to purchase this home. $50,000 over my credit limit. Wife was gone. I'm in rehab in Florida. Pause. I'll take that back. We're in rehab #2 by now. I ended up going to the hospital after one of the detox centers, and a robot came into my room. I was in the hospital for 4 days in Elizabeth City, detoxing off alcohol. And they said, we suggest you go to a rehab. So I said, okay. They came and picked me up in a van. I went to Wilmington Treatment Center and I knocked out 45 days there. Came home, did the same thing. That's when I sent the video. And now I'm in Stuart, Florida. Banyan Treatment Center. Beautiful. It's still on my first time. So rehab, if you want to count detoxes and everything, right now I'm at 4. But my first really, I would say, beautiful, in-depth treatment center. Wilmington was great by all means. I spent 45 days there, but they didn't give me an aftercare program. And that's what's most important when you come home, even though it's up to you what you do. And this time I'm in Banyan Treatment Center single. So of course I did what the first thing they tell you not to. Concentrate on yourself. Do it for yourself. Do it for your recovery. Don't buddy up with nobody. It's okay to be friends. It's okay to share stories. I attached myself with a woman immediately. After I'm in Norfolk Airport, missed my flight, slipped in the bathroom floor drunk as shit and tore my meniscus in my knee. So I get to Banyan Treatment Center and my knee swelled up. I'm drunk. I blow a .30, which they had to send me to the hospital for that and for my knee. So I'm on crutches the whole time I'm there my first time. I give all my attention to this one woman. A great woman. I can't sit up here and lie. It was one of them things. Every meeting, sat beside each other, did all that. And I'm not saying in this video I miss these people. I'm sorry that I hurt these people. But I'm just telling you straight up how my story is and went. So I did get a lot out of the program. It's something I never forget. Being there the first time, I did a lot of fishing there. It was a cool place. I come home after knocking out 30 days. Fly back home, I'm good. I make it through the airport. I use the thing called Friends with Bill, which in the airport, if you're having an issue with alcohol, you have them paged, hey, I need somebody, a friend of Bill at gate, C11. So anyone in AA or NA knows that somebody needs help. So someone sat and talked with me until I got on the plane, which I flew Breeze, which they don't allow alcohol on, which is very smart by the rehab programs. So I come home, do well for a couple weeks. I relapse again. I'm on my way back to Banyan Treatment Center again, second time. Lo and behold, I see a couple of people that came back too. So I'm thinking, okay, man, maybe this is just how I am. Maybe I'm gonna try to do it the right time this way, not get involved with any women. At this point in time, also, I didn't fly from Florida. I ended up, I had moved with the girl that I met in rehab. At this point in time, she was flying me there, flying back, vice versa. And I relapsed in Virginia Beach, Virginia at the oceanfront. In one of the restaurants that I used to really love, I relapsed and I took my first drink. I looked at the menu, looked at her. She was visiting. I said, you think I should do it? She said, if you think you can control it. In my mind, instant gratitude. Yeah, I can do it. Boom. All weekend, never stop. So I think I did fly out of Norfolk this time. So I'm in there this time with a girlfriend. And I think I did move some of my stuff down there at this time in Florida. I was living in right outside of Tampa Bay. But I was at home, I believe, at this point. Most of my stuff was still at home. So she was sending me care packages and stuff like this and that. And I did pretty good. I knew I had a good woman on the outside. I can't say that I was perfect. You're all when you're going through all that process, you're low, you're depressed, you don't know what to do, you don't have no one to talk to, so it's easy to kind of companion with people. But I did my best, and I didn't do anything that I shouldn't have. So, and I'm passing up the times, you guys, that I'll get into this now. So I come home, I'm living in Florida now. I'm living in Tampa, away from my family, away from everything. It don't last long. I remember getting out of rehab, I couldn't wait. I'm on the phone with my family. Stewart was like 3 hours from Tampa. Man, I'm good. I promise you I'm good this time. I'm good. That lasted for about a week. And when you relapse, every time you relapse even harder. You go back to the same exact spot plus some. So now I'm drinking straight hard liquor or straight beer. Let me tell y'all what I was doing. She owned a pet grooming business. She had a studio that was detached from her house. As soon as she went in there, she lived on a golf course. Beautiful home. I would go to the golf course, sneak out there early in the morning and get jacked up, 2 double Jack and Cokes to go. I would get those. And then by that time, I would have beer hidden in the house. And it got so bad in my old house, y'all, where I was hiding beer. I was hiding it in the commodes. In the top of the commode, I'd lift the commode up, put a beer can in there, and try to remember, I got to throw that away tomorrow until my wife goes and flushes the toilet and said, Brandon, the toilet won't stop running. She lifts it up and finds a fucking beer can in there. We think we're so smart when we're suffering through addiction. So I was doing that, sneaking around till she finally got caught. She caught me, and we went to the last straw was February, I believe, 12th. We lasted from October to February, and she was a really good person. Not to say that we were both perfect, because she did some imperfect things too. She relapsed with me, and it was all because of me. But we went to the state fair in Florida, and I was tore up. I went. The only reason why I went, and just like I used to, if someone would ask me to go out to eat, they serve beer there. Yeah, no, nah, I don't feel good. Chuck E. Cheese, yeah, they got beer there. Yeah, let's go. That's what type of person I was. I was selfish. So we go to the state fair, and I'm fucking tore up from the night before, and I'm shaking because I need beer. So she knows this. So there's the beer stand. Go ahead, go. Kind of pissed. So I get so ripped, I keep making excuses to go back to that beer stand. Whether I'm going to get the ATM. At this point, I sold my house, y'all. I had $30,000 in the bank. I blew $30,000 in less than 30 days. $30,000 in less than 30 days. My plan was to buy a new house with that money. But I bought somebody's brewery or something with it. So we were at that state fair, and I blacked out drunk, and I went to the car. And when we first got there, I had just bought rims on my car that day. I spent like $2,700. So I'm thinking I'm the shit. I got a Lexus down in Florida, tinted out windows, 22-inch red rims on the Lexus. So when we first get there, we're the first people there. So when I come out, I stumble to my car. There's cars everywhere. So I guess I passed out in the driver's seat. Boom, 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 boom. Look at my phone. I got like 500 missed calls. She couldn't find the car. And it was her knocking on the window. So I acted a fool. We'll just say that. The police came. I left the scene of the crime. And I regret some of the things. So the next thing you know, she wants me to leave. And I definitely understand that. So we made amends while I was still there. My dad flew in on a snow-iced flight. They had to de-ice the plane multiple times on the way there. My son came down and spent Christmas with me. And I remember we were swimming on Christmas, and I was hiding my drinking, back up a couple months. As soon as they left, went off the chain. I seen my son leave. It was just disgusting. I woke up every day. I remember we went on a trip to Orlando in an indoor water park, and I was withdrawing so bad from alcohol. When I'm talking about withdrawing, y'all, I can't. My hands are like this. My whole body is like this. My anxiety through the roof. My blood pressure is through the roof. My pulse. I'll tell you something about that when I tell you my next rehab. That I went trying at the water park, and I broke into their tap so I could get to. I broke in. You keep the tap things closed with the door lock. I broke in just to put, and I had my mouth under it just so I could get some alcohol in my system to stop it. Laid out in the shower, begging the girl to go get me something to drink. And she didn't, because she didn't enable me. I had to get in the car and go across the street and do it. Slept all the whole time my son was there. So February 14th, I'm on a drive back home with my dogs. I'm sick as hell, man. But I told myself I'm not drinking. And I didn't drink the whole way home. And you talk about withdrawing. I know withdrawing from heroin and all these things are bad. But I was dying on that way home. My dad probably thought I was sleeping, but I didn't sleep a wink. I had a pit bull and my chihuahua in the back seat of a Lexus on a 15-hour ride. We made it in one day. And I get home. So I am on Banyan number 3. This time it's going to work. I promise you it's going to work. And it turned out even worse. When I get there, y'all, my blood pressure was sky high. This time I was really withdrawing. I was throwing up. They couldn't get it under control right away. I was sick. I laid in bed for a couple days. And what did Brandon do? Because Brandon is his own sponsor. He makes his own rules. Brandon dictates what he wants to do. At this point in time, I'm thinking my life's over. I'm looking out of the window of a treatment center bed, not knowing what the hell's going on with my son. My wife's with somebody else now. I just want y'all to let that sit in and let what that feeling looks like. Me looking out the window just like I'm looking out at y'all, not knowing what's going on around me. I'm getting letters from people back home. I felt like I was in prison, not imprisonment there, but imprisonment in my mind. I couldn't stop my mind from racing. It was like a hamster wheel going on constantly. And what did Brandon do? Get right back up with another female in rehab. And did things there that, I'm not proud of. Breaking the rules. So I come home. That's treatment center number 4. Overall, guys, I've been to 12 detoxes and treatment centers. So I'll fast forward through some of those. I've been to Banyan like 5 times, Psych Center 3 times, so that would be your 8. I've been to Wilmington, that would be 9. Where else have I been? I've been to West Palm Beach, and this is where the story gets interesting, y'all. So I get there. I go there 30 days clean. I had 30 days under my belt. I'm going there for my mental health. So I get in and I pop for heroin, marijuana, and I blow a .09. And I haven't drunk, and I don't do drugs. Brandon, I've never done a hard drug in my life. So I sit down with the doctor, and they said, okay, we're going to start you on Suboxone. I said, no, you're not. No, you are not. I said, take my blood. So they took my blood. I waited today. It comes back. It's all false positives. I said, I told you. So I said I was just in there for my mental. So long story short, we got a hurricane coming, West Palm Beach. This was in 2022 of December. This past December. I decided to stay. People were leaving because of the hurricane. So I'm in a treatment bed, right? Because you have to be in bed at a certain time. And I was baptized, but I did the wrong thing. And I was going to church here and there. And I said, God, I'm sitting there in my treatment center bed, like 9 o'clock. The hurricane is there. And I said, God, if you are really here from me, show me a sign. I promise. Lightning struck right outside my window and it hit the generator and knocked all the power out as soon as I opened my eyes. You talk about a spiritual awakening. I got frantic. I said, oh my goodness, what do I do? So we went downstairs and we had a candlelit meeting, and I sat in front of everyone and gave a brief rundown of my story, a short version wrapped up in about 30 minutes. And I had people crying. Because I was crying. I was severely depressed. So depressed to the point where if someone was talking to me and I knew the answer, I wouldn't even answer you because I didn't. It's not that I didn't want to talk to you. I couldn't. My mind was I was lost. I was lost. I didn't want to speak. I didn't want to eat. I was 165 in rehab. I'm currently like 210. Thanks to the grace of God. So I come home in December. And then this is when you guys know if you watch me on Facebook, I went nuts with women. Blue. Just checking on him. He's just scratching. I dated women after women, and it wasn't their fault. I suffered from codependency at that time. I always needed validation that I got, a girlfriend that's telling me that, I'm this, I'm that. I wanted to put the in the relationship thing up there immediately, just to try to show people that I was happy, but I was not. And no offense to none of the women. It wasn't their fault. They would always ask me, are you sure you want to be in a relationship? Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. I'm past everything. Deep down, knowing damn good and well I wasn't even close. You're supposed to be at 1 year until you start dating again. They tell you if you can grow a tree, get a dog. or get a fish. If you can keep care of that for a year, then you're okay to start dating. Now I see why. It set me back so many times from December to February, where I was relapsing after relapsing after relapsing. I would book myself in a hotel because I would have to leave my parents' house, and I would binge drink in the hotel. I'd go down and steal all their wine from the bottom of the thing, you know, the little wine things. I'd steal bootleggers, and I was drinking probably 6 to 8 bootleggers at 7 o'clock in the morning as soon as they opened the doors, just to go back to sleep. And I had someone that I was dating at the time that played a crucial part in my life as well. That she was helping me stay stable because I was on my way back to rehab again. This would have been rehab number 13. Flight was booked. I was going back to Banyan again. This time it was going to work. I promised my parents it was going to work. But I was too sick, man. I had the rest. I reached out to a dear friend of mine, showed her how many beers I had drank. I was leaving them all on the counter. She was like, oh my God. She called my mom. My mom called the rescue squad. Next thing I know, I'm in the back of the ambulance, making them all laugh. I think it's the funniest thing in the world. Cameron, can you please get me a drink? My voice is getting raspy. They didn't even give me an IV because I've been there so many times. Brandon, you have an serious alcohol problem. Sent me home with nothing. Nothing. No medicines this time. No IV this time. Just go around. You're good. Oh, it's okay. Bring up her towel also, please. There's my son, everybody. But like I said, they would usually send me home. And I've been to the hospital more times than I can count on my hands for alcohol withdrawals. No medicine, no IV this time. They sent me home cold turkey. Told my parents to have me drink by the hour until I made it to rehab. So then my parents knew I was in no condition to fly. Because of my past experiences, I left out, you know, I'd be on Norfolk Airport getting ripped, miss my flights. They put me on another one. I'd be in Raleigh, miss a flight. I'd be in Atlanta, miss a flight. New York City. Sometimes I would fly to New York City to go to Florida, miss my flight in NC, or NYC rather. I was a mess, man. I was a disaster. I would be at the bars knowing I didn't have no money in my pocket and then pleading with somebody, hey, I'm going to rehab, and they would pay my bill. That's happened a couple times. I'm talking hundreds of dollars that I racked up. Too sick to fly. They know this. So the plan is I got to go back to detox safely. My dad sets it in the rules that this is a Saturday. You are going Sunday morning. I had to get up every hour to drink. It woke me up. I didn't have to set a timer. It woke me up. Never forget the look on my parents' face. They slept on the couch that night, and I woke them up every time I got up. They would hear me. Thank you, Cameron. To go into they kept the beer in the garage, so I guess they could kind of hear when I was going out there. Sorry, my dog just kicked it. Sorry, y'all. My voice is getting raspy. I've been doing this for an hour now. But so I'm going to detox Sunday morning. I was drunk Saturday, said some disgusting things to my family. I've done that multiple times. All my friends and family gave up on me besides my parents. Everything's cool now, though. I understand why. They didn't give up on me. I think they were just afraid to be around that situation. They didn't know what to do. I was always the life of the party. Sunday morning comes. 8 o'clock. I knew. It's time to go. I told myself I'm not going. Thinking of ways to get out of it. I'm laying in the bed with a beer in my hand, shaking. The beer wasn't even working at this point in time. I've been so bad off where I would throw up in my mouth with the alcohol and swallow it because I needed it that bad. And that's pitiful. That is pitiful. But I want to show you how real, and that's just some of the things that I would do. you're trying to hold that first shot and you throw it up, so you'll take another one. Hopefully that one goes down so you get that feeling. Then you do a couple more just to get that alcohol to kick in, so your body starts to come back from being in that withdrawal mode. So I'm thinking I'm not going. I'll probably just leave and try to get a hotel, or just leave and go to my friend's house. Then something told me, Brandon, get up and get in the shower. I think that was God again. So I get up and get in the shower. How I get in the shower, I don't know. Stop shaking. I'm in the shower. Sunday, I told my dad to stop for a beer immediately. I have to have beer. And North Carolina don't start serving beer on Sundays till 10, so I'm screwed. So I'm on my phone, headed towards Virginia, looking up what's the Virginia laws. What's the Virginia laws? 9 o'clock. So I stopped. My dad gave me $5 to go in there. So I'm thinking, okay, what can the strongest I can get for $5? Buzz balls. I get one, and I think they're like four and some change. So I grabbed one and pocketed the other one. I told my dad they were 2 for $4 or something like that. Get to the detox center, and I waited in there for maybe an hour or two, and it wore off. I said, Dad, I'm sorry, but you got to go again. He seen by the look on my face and how sick I was that he got in his car, and I know that was one of the hardest things he's done, because he's had to do it over and over before he's seen me need it and have to go purchase alcohol for his sick son that's dependent on his life, giving me poison to keep me stable. So he brought me back 2 of those. I met him in the parking lot, and I chugged those. And it just got me. It didn't get me drunk by any means at this point. I was way too gone for that. It just got me enough where I was calm in the setting. So I get up there. My blood pressure was like 180 over 110. My resting pulse rate was 136. Resting. So they're trying to throw all these medicines at me, and they're not working. I didn't sleep a wink that night. Seen the doctor the next day, and he changes my medicine and gets some of that stuff to calm down a little bit, where I could sleep at night. And I'm talking about, y'all, when you're in rehab, you're laying 6 feet away from someone that you don't know, and you're laying with them for 30 days. You're hearing the snoring. If they're withdrawing from heroin or drugs or even alcohol, they're puking, they're tossing and turning, they're shitting everywhere. It's a mess, man, and you got to tolerate that for 30 days at a time. I've calculated I've spent over $600,000 on rehabs with my insurance. So I bang out my detox time in there, come home, and my last drink was February the 19th at 12:45 p.m. So my clean date is February 20th. So I just celebrated 6 months here recently. And I'm doing good, man. I'm on a shot. It's called Naltrexone, the pill form, but I'm on Vivitrol. I get it every month. It takes away the cravings. It takes away. So if I were to drink, if this was a beer, I could drink 50 of them and it wouldn't do anything to me. But it would make me sick as a dog the next day. I've tried it before, but not since I've been home. So I did what I was suggested to do. No one ever tells you what to do in recovery. They suggest it. So I hit 90 meetings in 90 days, picked up my 400th millionth white chip. If you don't know what the white chip, it's the first thing that you can get with drugs or alcohol in your system. It's showing you the sign of surrender. I can fill up a shoebox with the white tags that I have. And I'm not proud of that by any means, but I'm being honest. Honest, open-mindedness, and willingness is what I'm trying to explain. Those are the 3 principles in NA and AA. You number one, you have to be honest with yourself first. And what I want to end this with is how recovery has changed my life. So when you first come into recovery, you lose all these things, and people say, you've hit rock bottom. My rock bottom has a basement or a trap door. My rock bottom is different than other people's rock bottoms. Some people didn't lose everything. I gave everything away. I gave away 3 vehicles. I gave away a wife. I gave away a stepson. I gave away a home. I gave away a career. Also, in between, y'all, I was working for the railroad. and had to quit because I was drinking. I couldn't do the work. I lied and said I couldn't do it, but I was so intoxicated and hung over the next morning with on that I had to leave. That was a hell of a job, man. It's more likely for you to get in the White House than it is in the railroad. So in recovery, you think, oh, I'm coming back. I got 30 days. I'm gonna get my house back. I'm gonna get this. No, it takes time. It takes time. ITT. It takes time. You don't get it overnight. You didn't become an addict overnight. You didn't become an alcoholic. And the reason why I call myself an addict again is because alcohol is a drug. It's poison. And I'm not gonna go into the situation where I still see people drinking and I know they have an issue. That's not my call. If they feel like they have an issue, you can come out and reach to me. I'm not gonna come out and reach to you. I see people out there who have issues. And it's just sad because it's so socially acceptable right now. Everyone thinks it's okay to be cool, and everyone's picture is like this with a beer. I used to be one of them. But there's consequences with that. And the consequences that I'm saying is that affects all your organs, man. It's poison. You can get wet brain. You can get damage to your liver, which currently I have a little bit of stuff going on with my liver. I have something going on with my lymph node. So all the prayers up for that. I have a CAT scan on Monday at 3:30 p.m. But back to recovery. I don't want to talk negative because recovery is positive. The depression lifts. You become, once you get out of that pink cloud, I mean that pink cloud is that first 30 days where you feel like you got it all back. You're doing all good. But then you got to realize you got to start dealing with life on life's terms, sober. Because the problems don't stop happening. The deaths don't stop happening. The loss of jobs don't stop happening. You gotta know how to cycle through those issues without masking it up with alcohol. So some of y'all try that. Yeah, that's a tough thing to do, but you learn to do it. And what recovery has given to me, and I call myself a grateful recovering addict. And a lot of people don't say that. They say, "What's so grateful about being an addict?" I'm grateful that I'm recovering, that I'm in recovery, that I have God in my life. I go to church every Sunday. Now they trust me at the church where I run the golf cart. I have the key to the church. Slowly getting stuff back, y'all. I'm slowly getting the trust back with my family, with my parents. Because I wore my parents slam out, man. I wore them slam out. I put them through hell and back. I put my son through hell and back. I should have lost him as well. And I mean, I've tried everything to stop drinking, y'all. I put Serenity on my hand. I put the NAAA symbol on my hand. So when I thought I was drinking a beer, I'd see that tattoo. Who cares? I'll cover it. Until it finally clicks. And it has to click. You have to want it for yourself. You can't do it for your wife. Can't do it for your kids, unfortunately. Can't do it for a job. Can't do it for nobody. You can only do it for yourself. And that's what's most important. And it took me 3 years of trying this to realize that you have to do it for yourself first. All the rest will come into place. If you're struggling with a marriage with alcohol, all that'll fall back into place because the real person will start to come out of you again. I haven't seen this real Brandon in probably 10 years, a decade. My 20th year class reunion is this year. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to attend because it's at a bar, which I understand the setting at our age. But the last reunion, I made a fool out of myself. Everyone was trying to outdrink everybody. And I was one of those ones that I couldn't throw it back with anyone back then. But I was in bad shape, y'all, a lot of times. I would post a lot of negativity on Facebook. Social media is terrible for doing that. So if you're doing that, constantly posting negativity, people feed off that negativity and feel like you're a toxic person, When you put out negative, you receive negative. When you put out positive, you receive positive. So I try to surround myself with positive influences to keep myself on the right track. The best thing I did was I got a sponsor this time that keeps me in line. I started the step work. The step work is very important. I'm on step 4 now where I'm doing a moral searching, fearless inventory of myself. which is difficult because I got to talk about all the lies I've told, all the things I've stole, all the things I did to my parents, the things I did to my ex-wife, things I did to my son, things I did to myself, things I lied about to my pastor, the times I lied about being sober. All this I have to write down on a journal and go over in my mind. So I was like, whoa, I had to take a step back for a second because it was tough because I was still mentally struggling with depression and anxiety. I'm see, uncut again. I'm on anxiety and depression medication, which at first was rough. And so you got to give it time. It takes time again. ITT, it takes time for that stuff to kick in. And I'm finally stable enough to be where I'm at in life. I'm doing things again. I'm doing things with my son. I got a new car, which I never thought I would have again. You know, I had all those flashy vehicles. That shit doesn't mean nothing. It's all material things. Those are material things that you can lose and you can't get back. What you can't get back is your life. And I've been so close to losing my life multiple times. I've tried to take my life. I was the type of person that wanted to die every day that I woke up, but I was too afraid to hurt myself. I'll say that again. I was too afraid to hurt myself, but I wanted to wake up and die every night. I prayed that I died in my sleep every night when I was actively drinking, when I was in active addiction. It's because what's the point? I was so sick, man. But now, you know, back to recovery. You got to do what the other people suggest to you. Make suggestions. You know, right now I'm at the point where I don't feel like I can be in a relationship. Or maybe you know, maybe I can. I'm comfortable with where I'm at in my life right now. I do want that down the line, just like everybody does. I want my happiness. I want a family again. But I still have to fix me. Me's most important right now. And I can be selfish in that way because I'm what's most important. If I'm no good, I'm no good to anybody else. I'm not a good father. I'm not a good husband. Not a good boyfriend if it's on that terms. You know, not married yet. Not a good son. Not a good family member. Not a good cousin. Not a good nephew, grandson, all that. I got to fix myself first. And now I'm getting back on track, and I'm brave enough to do this video. I don't like my mom always says she's so happy for me because, excuse my language, I try not to curse on here, but I don't give a shit about what anyone thinks about me. Period. I was put through all that, and I'm glad I am because I'm able to be one of the lucky ones that made it out of active addiction. Hopefully, all I can say is hopefully, but I can say today that I'm not gonna drink. Can't say tomorrow I won't, but every day I wake up and tell myself I'm not drinking today. So I'm 6 months and some amount of days, and I have no plan on going back. I picked up every key tag that I have. I regularly go to meetings. I regularly share. I'm not one of the quiet ones that sits in the back. I help others in my community. There's so many people. I've been at the liquor store at 10 o'clock in the morning handing out AA cards. Small story short, I'm going to end the story with this. The day that I was wheeled out of the hospital on a hospital gurney in the hotel lobby at the same hotel that I used to check in over and over, he knew me by my first and last name when I would go in there. I seen him at the liquor store at 10 o'clock in the morning. Coincidence? I don't know. There's been a lot of coincidences, a lot of things that have happened. I've shared my testimony at the church, and I've gotten so many people that have came up to me and said, thank you for sharing your story. Thank you for being brave enough. Because I shared it with my family member and it helped, or it put them in rehab. It did this, it did that. I want to be a peer recovery support specialist 100%. I want to be in the recovery field. I don't care about sharing my story because as long as it touches one person and helps one person, knows that you're not alone, I've done my job. I don't care who judges me. I'm not up here for likes. I don't care if this video that I post gets any attention. But if it grabs the attention and helps save one life, I did my job. And I feel like that's what God put me on this earth to do. Yeah, I went through my struggles, but he knew I was strong enough to live through my struggles, live through active addiction, live through depression, live through anxiety, live through a divorce. That hurts. A divorce is like a death. You go from seeing somebody all the time to zero. But I'm strong enough that I made it through all that stuff, y'all. And so can you. If I can do it, I consider myself weak-hearted. But I went through it and I did it, and I can continue to do it, and I can continue to progress to be the person that I want to be in life. And I feel like my calling is helping helping people that may think they have a problem or know they have a problem, reach out for help, man. Sometimes that cell phone can feel like it weighs 300 pounds. You just got to make that call. You just have to make that call or reach out for help. And I'm available 24/7. You can. I'll tag my number in this. I don't care who it is. Just be honest about it. Don't be reckless or abandonment just because I'm giving my phone number about it. Be honest with if it is an issue, reach out to me. I can help you in any way possible. I can hook you up on where I went. I have a lot of people that still reach out to my family, asking how I'm doing from the treatment centers. I could hook you up most definitely. I could even probably get you a scholarship with Mr. Novak, Mr. Brandon Novak. Shout out to you again. He has opened like 4 treatment centers in Delaware. He even held a bed for me in Delaware one time, but I went right back to drinking. So huge middle finger to him at that point, which he's a good guy. So after all that, I'm gonna still do YouTube videos. I'm gonna do like what it's like in rehab, what it's like to go through DTs. DTs are delirium tremens, where you're shaking, hallucinating, blood pressure. I'll go through all that in different videos. Or you guys can just ask me to make a video. I can do a video about what it's like to go to meetings, what it's like to go to your first meeting. I can do any topic. So y'all just bang topics, and I can put them all down together, and I go straight off the top of my head. As you can see, I have no notes. I just have a laptop here that I'm getting ready to download this onto the laptop to put onto YouTube. So I'll end the story with the story that was told to me. And this is how my life summarized. So this is some of the things that I used to do. So kid walks up to his dad. His dad's very busy with work. Kid wants to play with the dad. The dad says, no, I don't have time. I don't have time. So the dad comes up with this bright idea. Oh, I have this puzzle of the U.S. map. It's all into pieces. It's a 1,000-piece puzzle. He tells the son, when you finish putting this puzzle together, I'll play with you. The dad says, short as the day is long, I know I got 2 or 3 days till he puts that puzzle together. The son comes back 30 minutes later and says, Dad, I finished the puzzle. Dad says, there's no way. So he walks into the room, and sure enough, the son has the picture of the world map puzzle put into place. The father said, son, how did you do it? He says, Dad, on the back of the puzzle, there's a picture of the man. I put the picture of the man back together, and the world fell back into place. That's some strong stuff right there. So I'm Brandon Dennis, and again, I'd like to thank you for anyone that's watched this video through the whole. That story really hits hard with me. There's a lot of quotes I can say as far as in recovery. We'll get to that later, but I just wanted to share a brief story and let y'all know what I'm going through, and every day I pray that it gets better, and I just know I'm not going to drink today. I say that every morning. I'm not going to drink today. I thank God for the free of the cravings of the euphoric feelings that you used to get from it. I don't want that at all. I don't want to wake up sick anymore. I'm healthy. At least somewhat. I have some things going on, but that's because of the damage I did to my body doing active addiction. I was drinking 24/7, not eating, making myself puke just so I could drink more. So thank you guys so much. Again, my name is Brandon Dennis. I'm a grateful recovering addict, alcoholic, all of them, the names that you can say. And I'm so happy right now. I'm glad I made it through it. I hope I didn't bore y'all with an hour and a half, but that's where I'm at. And so you guys, share in the comments, share this video, get it out there. If you know someone that's suffering, share it with them, and I just want to let y'all know that it does get better, and you can do it. If Brandon Dennis can do it, the guy who knew everything, the guy who I sponsored Brandon, I did this, I did that, I made up the steps. If I can do it, you guys can do it, man. And I'm familiar with all types of drugs. I've seen it in rehab. Reach out to me. I love to be the support system if you don't have one. And if you don't believe in God, you can borrow mine until you find your own. How about that? So thank you guys so much for watching. Like I said, drop me a topic, drop me a comment, drop me a like if you would. I'd like to see this video get some views. Thank you so much again. I really appreciate. You can see the glow again in my eyes. I'm back as the father I want to be. I'm back as the son that my parents want to see. And just overall, I'm happy in my life, and I'm slowly getting my life back, y'all. So thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate y'all. Share this video. Share it. And just know that there will be more to come. Thank you so much on my first YouTube video again, guys. Thank you so much for watching.